So hello everyone, welcome you back to the science class. I hope you all are doing good. So dear students, as you all know that we are doing the chapter winds, storms and cyclones. So we have covered few topics from this chapter. Today also we shall be continuing with the same chapter. So before we get into the depth of the chapter, let us revise what all we have done in our previous class. In our previous class, students, we have discussed the different properties of air. We have discussed that air exerts pressure, air expands on heating, and high speed wind is accompanied by reduced air pressure. So we have done some of the activities as well. So today we shall be continuing with the same chapter, but let's look the objective first. So the objectives are to make the students understand about the factors that results in generation of wind, to make the students understand about thunderstorms and cyclones. So let's start with the first topic, that is generation of wind. Now what do you mean by this term generation of wind? Means how the wind is caused, how wind is caused, means what are the different factors which are responsible for causing the wind or rather generation of wind. Okay, so the causes of wind generation. Winds or wind currents are generated by two factors. First is uneven heating between poles and equators. So center of the earth is called equator and the two extreme positions are poles. I think you all are aware of it. Yes. So the center of the earth is called equator and the two extreme ending or the extreme positions are called the poles. So poles are cooler than equator as highest intensity of the sun's heat and light falls on the equator and it reduces as we go either side of the equator towards the pole. So what it is saying that the sun rays falls directly on the equator, that is why that particular area becomes warm. Okay, and then gradually when we move towards the poles it will gradually become less. Alright, so cooler air from surrounding areas of equator comes towards the equator to fill the place of warm air which rises up due to sun's heat. So it says that since the rays falls directly on the equator part, that area becomes warmer. Okay, it becomes warm and the hot air rises and it tends to move towards the polar region. At the same time, the air which is present in the polar region are cooler and denser. They tend to move towards the equator and it takes the place of the warm air. So this is how the generation of wind takes place. Okay. So generation of wind again. Similarly, cooler air from the poles comes toward the surrounding areas as the surrounding areas have air warmer than the poles. These winds from north to equator and south to equator are not straight as their direction changes due to the earth's rotation on its axis. Now what is the meaning of this line? So I told you that the warm air, I think you all are aware that the warm air rises up. Yes. So it means that when the sun's rays fall directly over that equator, the nearby area become warm and then the air, it becomes lighter, it rises up and it tends to move towards the poles. Okay, and from the poles the cold air, it moves towards the equator, it takes the place, it acquires that place. Okay, so this is how the wind starts to generate, but it is not that straight. Okay, it's not from the equator directly going to the pole. Because of the rotation of the earth. Okay, you know the earth used to rotate on its own axis. So due to the rotation of the earth on its own axis, these winds from north to equator and south to equator are not straight. Okay, so dear students, in order to understand this clearly, let us watch a video now.
Wind, uneven heating on the earth. Let us see how wind currents are generated on earth. As we have seen, warm air rises up and cool air comes down. That is, warm air tries to enter the region of low pressure. Cold air comes down. This pressure difference is due to two situations prevailing on Earth: uneven heating between the equator and the poles, uneven heating of land and water. Now, let us see uneven heating between the equator and the poles. Earth is divided horizontally by latitudes. 0° latitude is considered as equator, which divides Earth equally into two parts. The region above the equator is the northern part, and the region below the equator is the southern part. Equatorial region receives the maximum heat from the sun. Air near the equator gets warmer and tries to escape to the region between 0 to 30 degrees on either side of the equator. Cooler air from 0 degrees to 30 degrees comes down to 0 degrees. Again, warm air from 0 degrees to 30 degrees region rises up to the region between 30 degrees and 60 degrees. Cooler air from this region moves into 0 degrees to 30 degrees region. Cool air from the poles moves into the region between 30 degrees to 60 degrees. In this way, air currents are produced which give rise to winds flowing from north to south direction or south to north direction. Uneven heating of land and water. During daytime, the land gets hotter. Warm air rises up, giving space to the cool air coming from the sea. This is called as sea breeze. At night, land gets cool fast. Warm air from the sea rises up and cool air from the land blows towards the sea. This is called as land breeze. Warm air from the sea carries water to the clouds, which condenses and precipitates as rainfall. So, we say that monsoon winds carry water and cause rainfall. This maintains the water cycle in the environment.
So I hope you have understood the video. Now please look at this slide, students. So here in this slide you can see in that picture it is very clearly marked that equator and then south pole and north pole, and the sun is giving away its light. The light is directly falling over the equator, and then the sun rays falls in a slanting manner in north and south pole. So the black arrows, the black arrows, so here you can see this black arrows, if you can look, it denotes the cooler air coming from 30° latitude towards equator. So you can see it is pointing down towards the equator. That means the cold air which is coming from 30° latitude towards the equator. And red the red arrow denotes the cooler air coming from poles towards 60° latitude. Also, warmer air from 60° rising up. So you can see here somewhere the red arrows, it is rising up. So this is actually it is telling us about the warm air. Warm air being lighter, it is rising up and it is moving towards the poles. I hope this drawing is clear, students. So now the next factor is uneven heating between land and water. So this is the another factor which results in generation of wind. Okay, so what actually happens when there is uneven heating? Okay, heating between land and water, that also at that time also the wind used to generate. I think you all are aware of that sea breeze and land breeze, isn't it? Sea breeze and land breeze, it's very common for you all. So sea breeze, let us understand what is sea breeze. Alright, these are different forms of the wind only. So this causes the wind to move from sea towards land, and the process continues during the day. These are also called monsoon wind. So sea breeze is what, children? Sea breeze is the air, okay, is the air, or you can say the wind, which moves from sea towards the land during the daytime. Now what is the reason for it? So as you all know that when the sun heats up, the land gets heated faster, okay, as compared to the sea. So the moment when land gets heated faster, the air which is present, that particular area, it rises up, okay, it rises up, and the cold air from the sea, it rushes towards the land. So that is the sea breeze. I hope it is clear. Now I'll show you some diagrams, you will understand that. Then land breeze is what? This causes the wind to move from land towards sea, and the process continues during the night time. So exactly opposite happens during the night time. So now if suppose we can try to understand diagrammatically these sea breeze and land breeze, it will become very clear for you all. So let us start with the first drawing, that is the sea breeze. Okay. So let's start with sea breeze. Sea breeze actually it occurs during the daytime. Now you very carefully observe these pictures. Okay, in the first drawing, number 1, you see this particular here in point number 1. So cool air moves from sea to land. You can look the arrow which is pointing towards the land. Okay, so the cold air moves from sea to land. Point number 2, in the second step, what happens? The warm air from the land rises up. So you can see from here in point number 2, the warm air from the land rises up. And in point number 3, what happens? In step 3, warm air takes place of cool air at high atmosphere. Okay. And at point number 4, what happens? Cool air is pushed down towards sea. So again, the cool air is pushed down towards the sea. Now, next is the land breeze, which occurs during the night time. So you can see point number 1, the first step. Cold air moves from land to sea. So you can see the arrow. It is towards the sea from land. So cool air moves from land to sea in first step. And in the second step, what happened? Warm air from the sea rises up. So the warm air, it starts to rise up. You can see the arrow is moving towards the other side. So warm air from sea rises up. In step 3, we can see warm air takes place of cool air at high temperature. And point number 4, cool air is pushed down towards the land. So I think it is clear, children. So these are the stepwise explanation of sea breeze and land breeze. In the nutshell, I would like to say that hot air, when it becomes very light, it rises up, and the cold air, it takes place. It takes the place of the warm air. Means that particular space. Okay, the cold air rushes towards to that particular space once the warm air rises up. So I think it's clear. Now we need to know what are summer and winter winds. So summer and winter winds. During summer season, winds blow from sea towards land on a large scale. These winds carry water droplets with them and form clouds. Okay. During monsoon season, these clouds rain as they become heavier. Rain is useful for farmers for irrigation, but excessive rain causes floods and diseases. So during winter season, the winds blow from land to sea and they do not carry any water droplets with them. Hence, monsoon season occurs only after summer season. So it means that during summer season, winds blow from sea towards land on a large scale. So what happens during the summer season? The wind blows from the sea towards the land on a large scale. As because during the daytime the land gets heated faster and the air which is present on that areas, it will rise up, and as a result the wind blows from the sea towards the land. Okay, so these wind, okay, the wind carry water droplets with them, and the wind which is blowing, it carries the water droplet and forms the cloud. And during monsoon season, these clouds rain as they become heavier. So this is very simple to understand. So I hope you have understood that. Rain is useful for farmer for irrigation, but excessive rain causes floods and diseases. And this exactly during the winter season, the winds blow from land to sea and they do not carry any water droplets with them, like in the case in summer season. Okay, it's quite opposite. So hence monsoon season occurs only after summer season. Okay. Now the most important part of this chapter, that is the thunderstorm. Okay. Now what is this thunderstorm? A storm is a disturbed state of environment creating severe weather conditions, mainly high speed winds. So thunderstorm is nothing but the high speed winds. So a thunderstorm is a storm with sound and lightning, and typically also heavy rain or hail. So you see, thunderstorm is nothing but it's a destructive storm with sound. Okay, it produces the sound and lightning, and typically also heavy rain or hail. So thunderstorms develop in hot and humid areas. So if you can see the picture at the side, students, you will be able to see that high temperature in this areas causes hot humid, that is with water vapors, air to rise up. So strong upward rising winds with water droplets are generated. So what it is saying, that high temperature in this areas causes hot humid air to rise up. Means due to the tremendous heat, what happens? The air rises up. Okay, the lands get heated and the air rises up. The air which rises up, okay, it contains along with it the water droplets. Now these water droplets, what happen? At high altitude, this water drop freezes and fall again towards the earth. So this water droplet which rises along with the air, after reaching the high altitude, it gets freezed and it forms drops which falls down towards the earth. So upward movement of air and downward movement of water droplets together causes lightning and sound, because there produces a kind of collision. Okay, produces a kind of collision between the molecules, and then as a result it produces sound and lightning. So I think this is clear, students. So this is thunderstorm. Now next, cyclones. So cyclones is again another type of storm. You can see in the picture, you can see here cyclone formation over sea. Can you see? It's in the form of some spiral. Okay, and the structure of cyclone is also given. Now let us understand what is cyclone. Cyclone is a large-scale air mass that rotates around strong centers of low pressure. So cyclones are nothing but the mass of air, okay, which rotates around strong centers of low pressure. Okay, at the center the pressure would be low and the air will move around. Okay, now water vapors are formed when water is heated. This heat is released to atmosphere when water vapors convert to water during rains. The heat released warms the air around and make it to move up. This also results in decreased air pressure. Okay, so hence cooler air from surrounding rushes to take the warm air's place. This repeats till a low pressure system with surrounding high speed wind is created. This is called a cyclone. So cyclone depends on wind speed, direction, temperature and humidity. Cyclones are also called hurricane. So I hope you have understood this. Now, structure of cyclone. So the structure of cyclone is, it has an eye. The eye is nothing but the low pressure. Okay, low pressure and area of sinking air. Its diameter ranges from 10 to 100 kilometers. Then eye wall, dense clouds surrounding eye having maximum wind speed. It causes maximum destruction. And then spiral rain band of clouds spiraling into eye wall, and it contains heavy rains. Clear, students? So I think children, you have understood this. So today I would like to wind up, but before that let us look the summary what all we have discussed. So dear students, today we have discussed the wind generation, the factors which are responsible for the generation of wind, and then we have discussed thunderstorm and cyclone. So thank you so much for listening to me. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you in the next class.